No jokes in this webisode. Facts, data, numbers, and gainers only. What if all of us are actually underestimating the size and scope of this bull cycle that we're now entering? There are some key fundamental reasons why so many of us may be making that mistake, and we're going to be jumping into that in this webisode. Realistically, where will Bitcoin end up, and is it possible that there will come a time when there will no longer be enough Bitcoin to meet the demand, and we see an event unlike any event that we've ever seen? Are we on the brink of mankind's largest moon mission? And guys, did you know if you turn this button blue, your wildest dreams will come true, and there is a greater chance you will always become the man or woman that you've always wanted to be in 2021? Welcome back to this absolutely special webisode today, guys. I wanted to make this video because the times are changing, and in fact, I think it is very likely that Bitcoin may be ready to surprise many of us. As you all know, most people in the space, including myself, have a pretty good understanding of just 4-year cycles and the history of how Bitcoin price has increased, how the cryptocurrency market has increased. But there's also been increasing talk over the last few months about a liquidity crisis, about the inflation within the USD monetary system, and we see more and more of these very important financial players in 2020 specifically getting involved in cryptocurrency. So what does this mean? Guys, I'm a firm believer that what we're seeing, what we're seeing in these interviews, in these news articles, in these videos, even on like CNBC, right, with these billionaires coming out saying they have a portion of their portfolios in Bitcoin, saying to invest in Bitcoin, saying that Bitcoin could largely replace gold. I tend to think that, I agree with all of that, but I also tend to think that there's something bigger going on behind the scenes that we may not be privy to, that we may not have a full understanding of by design, where some big players maybe don't want retail investors or just anyone really to know what is actually going on behind the scenes. So what is going on behind the scenes? Guys, as you may or may not know, we actually just yesterday set a new all-time high for the Dow Jones Industrial Average, over 30,000 points. We can actually zoom in here. Yeah, over 30,000. So what does this mean? How is this going to impact Bitcoin? Will it impact Bitcoin? Is this the beginning of a massive transition, a massive wealth transfer? Absolutely, in my opinion, right? But with everything we know about Bitcoin, everything we think we know about cryptocurrency, there obviously are probably some things that are hidden away and some things that people don't want us to know about what is going to come to this space. Guys, by this point, it's also widely clear that it's very likely that Bitcoin is going to absorb some of gold's market cap, a $9 trillion market cap, right? And this article goes into more detail about what that would mean for Bitcoin's price and even the short term. But the key thing that I want to emphasize in this video is that TA aside, because TA is very important, especially on a day-to-day basis, especially when it comes to accumulating at good levels or selling at good levels or increasing your position sizes. But there is a fundamental factor that TA pretty much can't answer, and really nothing can. And that's what makes this so insane, is that fundamentally, when more and more money comes in, when we get a massive shift like we're seeing, unlike any other bull cycle we've ever had, we have never had billionaires interested in Bitcoin to this degree. We've never had hedge funds or institutions or this level in interest and validation ever in the history of cryptocurrency. And basically anything, right? We've never seen anything like this, but this is still the very beginning of it. So I believe what we're going to be seeing over the next few months, and especially over the next few years, is going to be something that we have never experienced. A lot of people compare the 2017 bull cycle to the dot-com bubble, right? Where there was a massive explosion, a massive burst, but at the end of the day, some of them absolutely collapsed, but for the most part, the internet is here to stay, right? Nobody would argue that the dot-com bubble was a waste. It absolutely exploded, it burst, but at the end of the day, it is here, right? The internet succeeded massively. Now, this is fundamentally different. This is the very first time in history that we have a global, decentralized currency growing in the spotlight, unlike anything we've ever seen. So basically, my point is, are we going to see a repeating cycle similar to what a lot of people have, kind of like this curved, diminishing, almost return of Bitcoin? Or in fact, are we going to see something fundamentally different in terms of not only adoption, but also fundamentally different in terms of technical analysis and just looking at the price? Are we going to see a fundamental change in the direction of Bitcoin's price and cryptocurrency's price as a whole? Okay, for the most part in these bull markets, you guys are very aware that the 21 weekly moving average is an absolutely important area where Bitcoin tends to find support on these run-ups, right? It's this blue line. You can see as we were breaking all-time highs back in 2017, 2016, we came back down to this blue 21-week moving average over and over and over again the entire bull market. And then when we fell below it in January of 2018, that kind of pretty much initiated the beginning of the bear market. And as you can see, we got rejected off this 21-week over and over and over again, basically the entire bear market. So guys, fundamentally the question I think everybody wants to know is this, right? Are we just going to see a repeat of that? Are we going to enter this bull market like we've already done? We've already begun entering this bull market. Are we going to enter it and we're going to have nice rallies like we've seen? We've already seen about a $9,000 rally in the past few weeks here with Bitcoin. Are we going to keep seeing that and get pullbacks along the way to some key levels? Or is the fundamental change of having the support of these billionaires and the big money around the world getting more and more into Bitcoin going to basically keep Bitcoin afloat and just push it higher and higher? Remember, this is a deflationary currency. There is only a fixed amount of Bitcoin. You cannot create more of it. Like we created more USD this year in 2020, more so than ever, because of the global situation, we just printed more and more and more, which makes it weaker and weaker. And you cannot do that with Bitcoin. And that is one of the fundamental reasons. It's the simplest, most basic reason, but it's one of the fundamental reasons why I think it's kind of like a factor X when it comes to how valued this sector can get. So will this institutional and retail FOMO buying pressure be too great for sustained retracements? Meaning, will we have so much support along the way as we pump, like we've even gotten maybe a little taste of over the last few weeks, that we just continue pushing higher and higher and enter a cycle, a trajectory that breaks the current models, right? You have the stock to flow, you have the S2FX, you have heat maps, you have all these different things kind of just giving you what they believe is a very simple, predictable outlook based on like the 4-year cycles, based on the halvings as to what Bitcoin's price could theoretically and should theoretically be, every cycle. But again, I am not convinced at all that we're just going to follow something as simple and predictable as that over the next 5, 10, 15 years. Okay, with that being said, I don't think we're going to break the model by next week or next month, right? This will take time to play out. But my question is this cycle the beginning of kind of changing that cycle and entering some sort of new paradigm, new wealth that, again, nobody can predict? Again, the craziest part is nobody knows this, okay? Nobody has the answers. Because the fundamental thing that I think new people entering the space have to know is that anybody on YouTube, billionaires, literally nobody knows exactly what's going to happen to that price. And this is such a big factor that I think people need to put more weight on, is that none of this is guaranteed. There is no guarantee that we're going to maybe stick to something like the stock to flow, or stick to these 4-year cycles, or stick to these predictions, right? In fact, over time, and the more I think about it, the more likely I think that it's actually going to swing wildly, obviously, in the upward trajectory. Meaning, if Bitcoin was going to fail, it would have failed. It would have failed in maybe the first year, the first 2 years, maybe the first few. But guys, the longer that Bitcoin exists, the longer that this community gets built, the more and more likely the trajectory that we're heading will not be down in the long term, but more and more likely to snowball, right? We pick up momentum slowly at first, slowly, then a little quicker, and next thing you know, this thing is absolutely bursting, right? And Dan Tapiro told Anthony Pompliano that 15 trillion in institutional capital could flow into Bitcoin, pushing the price as high as 500,000 within this time frame that we're going to be talking about as well. In the next 5 years, I can see gold at about 4,000, which is about double what it currently is. But Bitcoin is probably somewhere between 300 to half a million at a 20 to 30x in that same time frame, as gold is around 4, according to Tapiro, in terms of price appreciation. He believes that institutional investors and finance wells are likely to invest between 5 to 15% of their portfolios in Bitcoin, and noted that the sector was currently worth 100 trillion. And guys, the key thing that I just stated, nobody knows. Could they invest 5 to 15? Absolutely. Could they invest 0? Absolutely. But it seems less and less likely every day that that will be the scenario. And it seems more likely that 5 and 15% could end up being fractions of what they actually invest. Meaning, as I said a few minutes ago, the longer this thing goes on, the more likely, in my opinion, that those numbers should actually be pumped up. And the more that we may be underestimating this sector, we may be underestimating Bitcoin in cryptocurrency instead of overestimating. It is a hedge for the fiat system, and once its market cap is in the trillions of dollars, it will become easier to handle for larger investors similar to gold, which makes it easier and easier for bigger amounts of money to come in and feel comfortable getting in. There's no question Bitcoin is going to outperform gold, and other analysts actually saying that it's not a stretch for Bitcoin to surpass 100 to even 300,000 by the end of 2021, so within the next 12 months roughly. So guys, while we have these charts like the S2FX predicting in a very structured way most likely what Bitcoin's price could be, we have to factor in these crazy factor X type scenarios with a snowball effect in Bitcoin, which I don't think can be predicted in charts in data at this moment, right? That's what makes it so exciting, is that I believe that some of this information, some of this actual adoption simply cannot be factored into a chart, and this skews heavily to the upside. It leans heavily to the upside, meaning this kind of unknown factor has the potential to push these valuations much higher than many people predict and assume. Insane. So guys, let me know what you think below, and as well, just a few days left. If you guys need a hardware wallet, I would 100% recommend getting one now. 40% off for the next 5 days because of a Black Friday deal using the code BlackFriday20 at checkout. And as well guys, for a limited time only, up to an additional $610 for trading on Bybit when you use my link below, entering the code WIN $500 in all caps at checkout, only for experienced traders and only for people that also want to support the channel.